everyone. Welcome back. This week, I want to talk about something that is obviously happening in our current realities, especially in the third dimension. um, the reason that I want to bring this up is that there have been people that I listen to through podcasts that have talked about if you are spiritual, you cannot do spiritual bypassing, which in this case relates to in my particular situation and that I don't watch the news. This podcast that I listened to, she talked about that by doing that, we're doing humanity a disservice because we're not bringing our light to these travesties, that are happening globally. And I really had to sit with it. And then I also, in last week's Energy Tribe Circle, we talked it through because there are times when I don't have it right, and I have always said, we need to use discernment to know what is our areas to go and dig into. And as this person who I respect and I really listen to the podcast, I don't know if I've talked about this, but I only listen to astrological podcasts nowadays because I love astrology and I try to that's the only time that I make for things. And there's only really two that I listen to, but in the case of this person, I felt like a little bit of shaming going on. And I then was like, well, is it true? Nothing. So feel into it. Like, are you putting your head under the sand to avoid the pain of what a possible war would bring? And I had, as I said, the conversation with the girls from the tribe to get their input and how they were feeling. And then also looking at the actual situation in my life around this, these energies, which in my physical life, Richard's family actually lives 100 miles from the border of Ukraine. So right when this started, he has many siblings. They've all mostly reached out and asked if they can come if it gets bad. And also having conversations with his parents where he gets off and he just starts crying. And Richard has cried maybe twice since I've known him. So it is hitting us and hitting me. And I don't feel like me being tuned into the news brings it to a level of any good for me. Now, if there is a particular thread of energy, like in my case, Richard's family, where it is in my sphere, this is my sphere to work through. Of course, what do I feel? Is that why we called in this home, that we can house his family? And if that is the case, I welcome it. And I hold that in such resonance that if they're ready to come here, we are definitely a safe space for everyone. But I also know that if I were tuning into the daily of this one said this and this is what's happening today and this is all the people that have been hurt today and lost their lives today, I do go back to this place of how am I making a difference? How at all am I able to hold light for everything? Because this is the thing too, is just because this particular situation is getting coverage, there are things happening all over the place that we don't know about. And if you choose that it's your job here to get into all of these threads, and that's how I see them. Every time that I am in energy and in ceremony, they are literally threads, and each one carries a life of its own, and you can get on any one of them. But then the how do I say, the challenge is to understand is that thread then feeding you into your purpose? Or are you jumping on a thread that you have no business being on? Because we are not here to save every single situation. And understanding that people are going through what they're in for exactly reasons that there is nothing that you would ever know about. So if I am going through a hard process, it's because my soul chose at a soul level to have that experience. And there is no way, even if I say to you, like, I'm having a horrible time, or this is happening to my family, or I need support, or I need help, that's my ego trying to avoid why I brought in the lesson. And when we look at cultures and countries, and it just grows and grows and grows, it's a culture that is now bringing forward the shit that needs to be brought to light. And when I look at it from that aspect, how can it be wrong? How can it be wrong to have this stuff, regardless if it is through a war, to not find the light, to be just buried underneath the surface? And I mean, I would say that even in my own country, is that when all of this political upheaval has been going on, it's actual true feelings coming to the surface. And even though this in the last, let's say 6-7 years has been, news to me, I didn't realize people were so angry about certain things, but the truth is the anger, the energy has always been there. It's just finding ways to get expressed now. And it's only through expression that it can be moved and worked through. So it's not that I am saying that war is something that, I wish for. But I also know that if that is what happens, we're here and we chose to live through it. Now, where our role is in it is completely unique. Why I'm talking about this today is that I don't want anyone to feel shamed into thinking they're not doing enough, that they're not being selfless enough for the refugees, that they are spiritual bypassing, or that they're just trying to hold high vibes and not get into the low vibes. All of that doesn't exist. On energy is energy. And it's all floating around us. Even if you can't see it, it's there. It's your choice to decide which threads are warranted. It's like a like vibration. But if you jump on a thread that isn't your vibration, it's going to bring you down to that vibration. But it's not a low vibe. It's just a different vibration. So what I tune into is that if I jump onto that, then is that going to help me further my mission here? Is that going to help raise people up? Is that going to still activate people? Because the longer this journey is going, what I find myself, and why I think what my real purpose is just activation, bringing light so that you see the light in yourself. Now, yes, we are a spectrum of everything. We all have moments where we're super high vibe and moments where we're low vibe, and all in between. But the goal is to find where your vibration is. And it all goes back to finding that center space, because once you're in that center space, you know where you play. You don't go into a playground where you don't belong, because there's no good that can become of it. And in the Energy Tribe Circle, one of my dear sisters, Aisha, said, change doesn't have to come through adversity. And I remember just stopping and being like, it doesn't. But the people that are choosing to receive change that way, it is a choice, and it may not be on a conscious level. And you have to understand that cultures and there's so much sticky energy that needs to be brought up to change. And that does need to come most of the time through adversity, because you have people on such extreme sides and there's no neutrality. There is nothing that's bringing it to the center. So of course it's such an aggressive tension. But ultimately, it's going to bring change, which that's what we're here for. And even though this is just one aspect of what's to come, why it's important to have this conversation now is to understand that it is going to get a lot worse than this. And if you choose to follow every one of the threads that is screaming the loudest or has the most news coverage, you lose who you are. You really will lose who you are in each and every single story or thing that is out there. Now, there's another woman in the tribe that lives in the UK, and she is a refugee lawyer, and she's using her time to volunteer to help the refugees through a service that she can provide. And she has Ukrainian ancestry. Like, that is like, when she said that, I was like, yes, that is when you are called to a thing, called to a purpose, called to a fight. That is like, she knows she's got to dig into her ancestral roots, and she is here to change and transmute energy through what she does today. That to me is like the most aligned action. But if you are sitting on the other side of the world and you have no direct link to any of whatever is going on somewhere else, I'm not saying like turn a blind eye, but what I'm saying is choose wisely. Are you here to fight that fight? And if you look at your exact time space reality and it is the furthest away from it that it can be, there's a reason. Now, my case, it literally is hitting home because it's Richard's family and it's my family. So I'm in it. But understanding that I chose that, and even going further, because he's asked me to marry him, and do I choose that family lineage and why they're there? And it's like understanding that all of the choices that we make bring in our realities. So when his family started calling and needing help, like, my heart expands to that because it's me. So tuning into understanding, what is you? Is it your vibration? That will help be the biggest guide in understanding and discerning where your energy is actually being called and needed for. And knowing that, I think we can hold this light no matter what is happening, right? It's though it is about how you're engaging with that energy. Are you coming at it from a place of, I am accepting what is, I'm not trying to change it, I'm supporting what is, and I'm supporting the people that are here to go through this? Or are you thinking like, I don't like this, I reject this dictator is terrible and we are the saviors? That's division. That is not going to change anything. So really tuning into understanding what you're being called to, and then checking yourself. Are you coming from a neutral perspective that can bring light to something that needs it from that place? Like, not the chaotic place, not that this one's wrong and this one's right, because there's always a middle ground. There are always two stories, and there's the only way we are where we are is because there were two sides. There are two divisions. And if you know anything, there's his story and his story, and the middle is the truth. We have to get away from believing what we're hearing on both sides. I mean, Richard, he reads a lot of European news, so he's helped me to see both, in this case, Putin's side and the US's side and his cultural side. And my gosh, you guys, there is no clear answer here. There are reasons that Putin is bringing forward this energy, and not that it's the right energy, but it is understandable why he is putting his like ducks in a row and understanding the way that the perspective that he has, right? And I believe that we're here to hold space for all perspectives. Now, when Richard and I talk, I'm like, but he's pulling also forward this dictator energy, which how is that good for anyone? And then he'll be like, Exactly. Like you can find faults in all sides, even the US. Like there are faults everywhere because nobody's perfect. We're human. But when you get, I would say, more to the spiritual realms, you can see it for what it is, and that it's conflict that needs to happen to move energy. And oh God, can we just be the guardians? Can we just hold space? I am every day it's a choice not to get intertwined with these energies, and at the same time hold space for what is, and understand that some people do need adversity for change. They do. They can't have it peacefully. Like in my life, like there have been nudges and like whispers, and if I don't hear them, then it's like pushes, and then it's like you lose your job, and then like if you aren't tuned in, you need more force for change. And also having the compassion to understand that these souls that are in this predicament, whether it be through choice or through family lineage or culture, they chose to be exactly where they are. They chose the family lineage that they chose because there's something that their soul is learning through this process. And again, I go back to, can we allow it? Can we allow the chips to fall where they're meant to without having to be the warrior? And again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being the warrior, but really, is it your lineage? Is it your place to be the warrior? Allowing what is to come through you versus the ego to say, I should do this. This lesson for me came up in a big way right as the pandemic started, and I have made a friend in Bali who was really struggling, and I struggled with, how do I support this person without how do we even say it, without diminishing the experience that they're meant to experience. And it was like, I mean, if you go to past episodes, I struggled with it. I wanted to give love. I wanted to give money. I wanted to give whatever I possibly could. But what I saw is that I'm only making the situation worse, because anything given on a 3-dimensional level is not reaching the vibration. It's not changing the vibration. You're just like easing the pain through the change. And that means that the other party doesn't receive the full lesson. And then you're basically stunting their growth. And that's karma on you. And through that, it really made me understand that if it directly affects us, meaning like it is our family, it is our closest loved ones, you do what you can. But then if it is separate from you, can you hold a more global view for everything that is? And understanding that all of this has ripple effects that maybe one day will reach you. And having compassion for yourself for when it does. It's a hard one. It is such a hard one. And I just feel like, in a way, this is just the beginning. And what I also know is that we need your light. The world, the universe, everything needs all of you. So if your mind is preoccupied with something that is holding you down or holding you to a vibration that is not yours in what your mission is, you're missing out on your contract. You're missing out on why you actually came. And I want everyone to shine in the way that they came to shine, Because the truth is, if we didn't have media, where would we be? We would be local. We would be working on the things that locally impact us. And there's always this like feeling of it has to ripple out. You have to first fix yourself before you can fix anyone else. And me being on this path, I know I have way more fixing that needs done. And how can I then look at someone else's struggles and put a judgment or put a this is how I can help them when I haven't helped myself. Like, I'm not perfect. And I don't know that I ever will be in this lifetime. We're here to work on our own shit. And if you think that you're so enlightened that you are here to affect global processes, man, I would say really it's time to find self-love, because I would say there's avoidance in looking inward. I am sharing this with you because it is something that I currently am working through, and that's the journey, that's the journey in understanding my heart and knowing that sometimes I don't know, and it's just a conversation to be had, and I'm not giving anyone advice on what is right for you. I'm just saying, tune into what your center is. Is your center calling you to some cause? Go. Is your center really aligned with whatever it is that is in the news? Give. But understanding that if you give from the ego, you're keeping it at a low vibration. So the only way that we can alleviate anything in this time-space reality is through actual love. And I personally believe it's through self-love and then sharing that love with others. So I hope this is helpful. And I know that it's way more complicated than I'm getting into. I'm trying to just touch on the energetics of it. But knowing that all of it holds a space, every part of this holds a space. And if you are on a thread that doesn't belong to you, you're going to draw that energy towards you, because it's not like once you open that thread, it's like this passing energy through it. So you're receiving, you're giving, you're receiving, and then it's in your mind space. You literally become the vibration of what you are in. And I just want you guys to know that each of us has a reason of being here. And even if you are just starting your journey and you don't know what that reason is, use your body. Use your body. Does this make me feel good? Does this light me up? And it's hard when you think about war. How could that light you up? No, that's not going to light anybody up. But then you may turn into this kind of warrior, and you may have this warrior energy that just feels like, yes, this cause is mine and I got it. And if that's it, go. Like, don't even hesitate, because to me that takes so much. It's like a bodily reaction. Then it's out of the ego. And my thought of it, it's energy that's literally propelling the body forward. And that is something that you should listen to too. But try to get out of the mind. Whatever way you decide this, the mind will never lead you in the right space. And I know that we're here to lead from where we came here to be, and holding space for everything else. Because I also think that as you ascend in dimension, these three-dimensional realities are going to continue. It's not going to change, because we are everything, right? I already believe that there are three dimensions, the third, fourth, and fifth, coexisting on this planet at the same time. I think I mainly live in the fifth dimension, but the closer these third dimension realities come into my life, I think, okay, I'm here to be physical. I'm here to be in the matrix. I'm here to understand what this is. I understand that I'm here to learn something from this, because third dimension is here to teach us lessons as well. But it's like understanding which third dimension lessons, which matrix constructs are here to teach you. So like in the case of this and Richard's family, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in it. I'm here. I'm going to hold space for it, and I'm going to open my heart to it. And whatever is meant to flow our way, it will. But I can also live in fourth and fifth dimension and understand that I don't live in that time-space reality. Can I hold space and refuge for people that need it? Yes. But it's not my reality. And there's a reason that it's not. So Does change need to happen through adversity? I think it's all in your perspective. It's all about how high you ascend, where you are on your journey right now. And knowing that it is a journey, and it's not like I get to fifth dimension and I'm there 100% of the time. No, something happens with my dogs and I'm like, in third. And like, it's a constant moving up and moving back down through them. But at this point in my journey, I would say I'm not in third dimension anymore. I don't have a lot of processes that are affecting my daily reality that are normal. I mean, I have gotten to a place where I'm in full receiving of that and understanding that that's not everyone's process right now. So can I hold that? Can I be okay with being different? And can I understand from a bigger perspective that there's a reason for it? Even if my ego doesn't understand it all the time, I think there's a reason, and if you are called into these processes, work through them because it's work. That's what it is. That's all it is. And it's not a judgment. It's not a low vibe. Like, we're human. Dig in. But know that when you're called to be at a higher vibration, maybe it's because you're meant to have a higher perspective of something. And I think that's needed as well. So whatever you feel, please be authentic to you. Please do not let anyone shame you into doing one thing or another thing. We are all so unique, and we came to bring such unique gifts at this time. And as it accelerates, it's going to be more and more important to be in your center. I hope this is helpful, and just know that I'm holding space for it all. And I hope that you can as well.